The day the Galactic hunters abandoned Earth was the day they learned a truth they never expected to face. There were predators, and then there were Deathworlders. It all began with a mission like any other. A handful of the galaxy's most skilled hunters, renowned across multiple star systems for their bravery and their unmatched prowess, had decided to make Earth their next target. They came, as they always did, with no intention of interacting with the planet's native species. Earth was seen as a relatively primitive world, the home of an evolving species that had not yet achieved full galactic integration. For most of the galaxy, Earth was just another inconsequential backwater planet, its inhabitants no different from the countless other species who had been harvested for sport or study. But what these hunters didn't know was that they were about to come face to face with a predator far beyond their understanding. They had come for a challenge, expecting to track and capture creatures worthy of their hunting prowess. They had faced fierce beasts before, monsters that lurked on untamed worlds, and they prided themselves on their ability to hunt the most dangerous creatures in the universe. Yet, Earth was home to something that the hunters could never have imagined. The planet itself was an enigma. It was filled with life that was vicious, brutal, and, in many ways, alive in ways the hunters had never encountered before. Earth's ecosystems were rich and unforgiving, where even the smallest creatures could be a threat to a being of greater size or strength. But none of the galactic hunters had given much thought to the dominant species, the humans. They were a young species, not yet part of galactic alliances, technologically primitive by the standards of the hunter races. They were small, fragile, and seemingly weak in comparison to the creatures that hunted the galaxy's farthest reaches. To the hunters, Earth was just another planet in a long line of worlds to be conquered for sport. But as soon as they arrived, the hunters noticed something strange. The humans weren't afraid. The first signs came when the hunters began to scope out the vast forests and jungles of the planet. They were used to creatures who fled at the scent of a predator, or who instinctively hid at the approach of a foreign threat. The animals on Earth reacted as expected. Some ran, others cowered, and a few fought back in a desperate bid to defend themselves. But the humans were different. It wasn't that they ignored the presence of the hunters. No, they saw them, noticed them, and in many cases, followed them, observing their every movement. There was no fear in their eyes. No desperation, only a kind of intense curiosity, the way a creature might study a new, strange thing that had entered its territory. The hunters found this unnerving. They weren't accustomed to being observed by prey. As the days wore on, the hunters began to notice other things. The humans had a remarkable capacity for surviving in even the most hostile environments. The land around them was unpredictable, filled with dangers of all kinds, from ferocious predators to toxic terrain, but the humans didn't seem to mind. They navigated the wilderness with a kind of ease, their bodies built for endurance and quick adaptation. The hunters had never seen a species so well suited to survive on a world that would break most beings. They moved like they belonged to this planet, their senses sharp, their instincts honed. They were not easily fooled by the hunters' traps or stealth techniques. They were tracking the hunters just as effectively as the hunters were tracking them. But it wasn't until the hunters witnessed something on one of their excursions that they understood what they were dealing with. It happened when a single human, a veteran, scarred from past conflicts, found one of the hunters in the middle of a jungle. The Galactic Hunter, a towering being from a world where strength was the measure of worth, had been tracking a large predator, a beast from the jungles of Earth known for its ferocity and size. It was a creature that many would consider a worthy adversary, a beast worthy of the hunter's attention. But as the hunter approached, preparing to strike, he found himself ambushed by the human. At first, the hunter thought it was just a fluke. The human had appeared out of nowhere, his movements too fast, too fluid, as if he had been waiting for this moment. The hunter, knowing the strength of his own species, expected the human to be crushed beneath his weight and superior combat abilities. But the human didn't back down. Instead, he smiled a smile that would have sent shivers down the spine of any other predator. The human didn't just fight the hunter he played with him. He moved like a shadow, his every motion an intricate dance. He mocked the hunter's attacks, sidestepping with ease, using the hunter's own strength against him. The fight was slow at first, as if the human were merely toying with his prey, but then it became clear that he was calculating every move, every second, with an expertise that rivaled that of the hunters themselves. The hunter, at first enraged by the human's audacity, soon realized that he was not in control of the battle. He was being led into a trap, baited by his own instincts, until he was cornered, disarmed, and helpless. And then, to the horror of the hunter, the human simply stopped. He stepped back, watching the alien carefully as it lay on the ground, stunned and defeated. The human didn't kill him. No, that wasn't the point. The human had made his point. There was no challenge here, no danger. The hunter wasn't the predator, he was the prey. It was a moment of absolute humiliation for the Galactic hunter. For a brief instant, he thought he might have misunderstood something about this strange world. This human, with all his frailty and supposed weakness, had turned the hunter into a fool. But before the hunter could recover, the human offered him a strange, mocking gesture. He stood up, patted the hunter's body lightly, and walked away without a second glance, leaving the creature alive but utterly shattered in his pride. The entire hunting party witnessed this encounter from a distance, watching through advanced scopes and devices as their comrade, once so confident and proud, was reduced to nothing more than a defeated animal. For the first time, the hunters felt a stir of something deep in their hearts, something they had never felt before. Fear. It wasn't just the encounter with the human that had unsettled them. It was the realization that they were no longer at the top of the food chain. This world, this primitive, backward world, had something that the Galactic hunters had never encountered, a species that not only survived in the face of danger, but reveled in it. The humans, it seemed, were not just survivors. They were predators too. As the days passed, the hunters found themselves drawn further into the depths of Earth's ecosystems. They tracked creatures that no galactic hunter had ever laid eyes on, creatures so brutal and so tenacious that they seemed to embody the very essence of predation. But the more they learned, the more it became clear that Earth was not a world for the faint of heart. It was a world that had bred its life forms to fight for every breath, every heartbeat. And at the top of that hierarchy, as they came to realize, were the humans. It was when they witnessed another human, this time a woman, approach an alien predator, an enormous eight-legged creature known as a Hraxar, that they realized just how deeply they had underestimated this planet. The Hraxar was a terrifying creature, capable of crushing entire ships under its monstrous limbs. Its fangs were laced with toxins strong enough to incapacitate any creature in seconds. But the woman, tall and lithe, with long braided hair, didn't seem afraid. She crouched down in front of the creature, speaking in a low, almost melodic tone. The Hraxar snarled and hissed, its eyes flashing with warning, but the woman's movements were slow and deliberate, never hurried, never anxious. She reached out and touched the creature's enormous claw, and, to the amazement of the hunters, the creature didn't attack. Instead, it calmed, lowering its fangs. The woman stood, her gaze steady and unwavering, and the creature, now almost docile, followed her movements. The hunters, who had observed countless species interact with their predators in violent, desperate ways, were stunned. They had never seen anything like this. The woman wasn't just surviving in a world of predators, she was controlling the predators. She wasn't just an apex predator herself. She was shaping the entire environment around her, bending even the most fearsome beasts to her will. This wasn't survival. This was dominance. The realization that they had misjudged Earth came slowly, like the cold dawning of an inevitable truth. These humans, with their primitive tools, their unrefined technology, and their savage tenacity, were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were creatures born of a world that had taught them to fight, to adapt, to survive, and to hunt. And what they were capable of on their homeworld, they could do anywhere. The hunters were no fools. They understood power when they saw it, and now they understood that they had underestimated Earth, and they had underestimated humanity. The decision was made quickly and without much debate. The hunting party, once eager to track the most dangerous prey in the galaxy, now stood in awe of a species that had shown them something they had never experienced before. True, unyielding strength, tempered by intelligence and an understanding of the world around them that no alien predator could ever comprehend. The galactic hunters left Earth without a word. They abandoned their mission, retreating to the stars with their pride shattered and their minds filled with the haunting image of the human who had smiled while playing with a predator. Earth had proved to be a place of unrelenting danger, a place where the hunters were no longer the kings of the food chain. And so, they left the planet, not with the spoils of victory, but with a newfound respect and a deep, unshakable fear of the species they had once considered little more than prey. In the wake of their departure, the humans continued to live, to thrive, and to dominate. Their world remained wild, untamed, and free, while the galaxy would forever remember the day the galactic hunters abandoned Earth after witnessing what a true Deathworlder could do.